Welcome to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Portland District virtual public meeting for the draft environmental impact statement for the next Renewable Fuels Oregon LLC project. Please note this meeting is being recorded and it will be posted to the Corps' website. Today's public meeting is an important part of the Corps' evaluation of this project and we value the public's input. Thank you for your interest in the project and for taking the time to attend and participate in today's meeting. My name is James Davidson, and I'm a project manager in our regulatory program. I'm also the primary point of contact for the next Renewable Fuels Oregon LLC environmental impact statement. Before we begin, I'd like to identify some of the terms you're likely to hear. This meeting is being conducted by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Portland District, or Corps. You may also see the Corps written as USACE or USACE. The applicant is Next Renewable Fuels Oregon LLC, referred to as the applicant or NEXT for short. The project is called the Next Renewable Fuels Oregon Project and may be abbreviated as the project. The contractor is the third-party contractor designated by the applicant to write the environmental impact statement with independent overview by the Corps. NEPA means the National Environmental Policy Act, and EIS means an environmental impact statement, which is prepared in two stages: a draft environmental impact statement, or DEIS, and a final environmental impact statement, or FEIS. This presentation will cover several topics, including an overview of the proposed project, a description of the Corps' review, what an EIS is, the roles and responsibilities in preparing an EIS, the next project NEPA review milestones, the next project EIS process, basic components of the draft EIS, the draft EIS comment period, remaining steps in the Corps review, a brief summary, a projected timeline to a final decision, and how to provide written and oral comments on the draft EIS. The purpose of the proposed project is to produce renewable fuels for markets on the west coast of the United States to meet the demand for fuels that are mandated by the Renewable Fuel Standard Program or other state mandates that require low carbon intensity fuels. The proposed project is a refining facility capable of producing up to 50,000 barrels per day of renewable diesel fuel and other fuel products from feedstocks such as vegetable oil, used cooking oil, animal tallow, and inedible corn oil. To do this, the applicant is proposing to construct a main access road, natural gas pipeline, rail spur, ladder tracks, and an access road, 4 pipelines to an existing wharf, a tank farm consisting of 21 tanks of various sizes, a pretreatment plant, a hydrogen production facility, eco-fining units, a storm and process water treatment system, office administration and laboratory buildings, alongside site landscaping and fencing. The project would temporarily fill 31.5 acres of wetlands and permanently fill 104.3 acres of wetlands. To compensate for wetland and water body losses, NEXT proposes to enhance 466.10 acres of nearby wetlands currently used for silviculture. So why is the Army Corps of Engineers involved with a project to construct a renewable fuels refining facility? NEXT has requested a Department of the Army permit from the Corps and potentially permission under Section 408 of the Rivers and Harbors Act. Under Section 404 of the Clean Water Act, a Department of the Army permit is required for the discharge of dredged or fill material into waters in the United States. The construction activities NEXT proposes would result in the discharge of fill material into a significant amount of various waters of the United States, including wetlands. Under Section 14 of the Rivers and Harbors Act of 1899, or 408 for short, Corps permission is required to make alterations to, temporarily or permanently occupy, or use any U.S. Army Corps of Engineers federally authorized civil works project. The evaluation also includes, but is not limited to, the following legal requirements: a public interest review, which is a balancing of the benefits and detriments of the project on several factors, a determination whether the project complies with the Clean Water Act Section 404B1 guidelines, Endangered Species Act consultation, Magnuson-Stevens Fishery Conservation and Management Act consultation, as well as National Historic Preservation Act coordination with state and tribal agencies. Both the 404 permit and 408 permission require the Corps to complete the NEPA review process prior to making a decision. This public meeting is being conducted as part of the NEPA review. For some additional background, the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, is a procedural statute that requires federal agencies, such as the Corps, to make informed decisions and to consider the impacts of a project on the human environment. An EIS is a public document that evaluates the effects of a project. The EIS provides an evaluation of the significant environmental impacts and informs decision makers and the public of reasonable alternatives. The environmental impact statement is prepared in two stages, the draft EIS and the final EIS. The components of the DEIS include discussion of the following: 1. The purpose and need for the project. 2. Project alternatives. 3. The affected environment and resources. And 4. Environmental consequences. The EIS itself does not contain a decision on the project. The Corps will use the EIS public input in coordination with other federal agencies such as the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, National Marine Fisheries Service, and various tribes to make a final decision on the 404 permit and the potential 408 permission. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Portland District is the lead federal agency responsible for the preparation of the next EIS. The Corps is responsible for the content and scope of this EIS. The Corps is also responsible for establishing and managing a schedule to complete this EIS. Cooperating agencies on the preparation of an EIS may be any federal, state, or local agency or Native American tribe that has jurisdiction by law over the project or special expertise regarding the evaluation of a project. At this time, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency is the only cooperating agency on the next EIS. Next Renewable Fuels is using LJA Environmental Services as its contractor to prepare the EIS. As stated earlier, the Corps, as the lead federal agency, oversees the preparation of this EIS and must independently evaluate its content. Several milestones have occurred in the Corps' NEPA review process to reach the point where we are seeking comment on the draft EIS. These include: the Corps received a complete permit application on October 29, 2021. The Corps issued a public notice for the project on November 5, 2021, which provided the first opportunity for the public to comment on the proposed project. The Corps issued a determination that the proposed project would have a significant effect on the quality of the human environment on December 23, 2021. This is an initial step to prepare an EIS under NEPA. The Corps published a notice of intent to prepare an EIS for the proposed project in the Federal Register on May 10, 2022. The Corps completed the NEPA required scoping process for the proposed EIS from May 10 to June 9, 2022. The scoping process provided a second opportunity for public comment on the issues associated with the proposed project. The Corps issued the final scoping report on August 3, 2022, which identified the issues and resources that warranted further review in the EIS. The Corps then completed the DEIS in February of 2026. The DEIS was published in the Federal Register on March 6, 2026. This initiated the required 45-day comment period for the DEIS, which ends on April 20, 2026. Public meetings are now being held on April 1st and April 2nd, 2026 to receive public comments regarding the DEIS and project alternatives. This is an overview of the next EIS process. The process began with a 30-day public scoping comment period. Based on input during scoping, the Corps prepared and published the draft EIS for public comment. The draft EIS comment period is 45 days. The comment period for the next draft EIS will close on April 20th, 2026. The Corps will review and respond to comments and revise the draft EIS as needed and then publish a final EIS. The Corps will then prepare a record of decision to document its determination whether to authorize the project. The decision whether to issue a Department of the Army Clean Water Act permit will be based on an evaluation of the probable impacts of the project on the public interest. That decision will reflect the national concern for both protection and utilization of important resources. The benefits which reasonably may be expected to accrue from the proposed project must be balanced against its reasonably foreseeable detriments. The final EIS will inform this balancing requirement. As a result of the scoping process discussed in Chapter 1 of the DEIS, the Corps identified 19 resource categories which warranted further evaluation for impacts resulting from the proposed project. These include geology and soil, air quality, odor, surface waters and floodplains, groundwater, water quality, wetlands, fish and wildlife, vegetation, socioeconomics, cultural resources and historic properties, land use, traffic and transportation, rail, marine vessels and navigation, hazardous materials, public health and safety, aesthetics, and visual resources. The Corps is seeking comments on the DEIS analysis of the environmental impacts on these resources. As a result of a multiple-step screening process discussed in Chapter 2 of the DEIS, 4 alternatives for the proposed project were carried forward for further review. The alternatives consist of 3 potential locations for the construction of the proposed project and a no-action alternative under which the proposed project would not be built. Alternative 1, which is the applicant's preferred alternative, would result in the construction of the proposed facility and its supporting infrastructure at the Port Westward Industrial Park in Columbia County, Oregon. Alternative 2 would result in the construction of the proposed facility and its supporting infrastructure at the former Northwest Alloy site in Cowlitz County, Washington. Alternative 3 would result in the construction of the proposed facility and its supporting infrastructure at the Port of Woodland, Cowlitz County, Washington. Under Alternative 4, the no-action alternative, the proposed project would not be built. The Corps is seeking comment on the DEIS analysis of the environmental impacts of these alternatives. The objective of the DEIS comment period is to hear from you. The DEIS comment period provides an opportunity for government agencies, tribes, and the public to review and comment on the proposed project and alternatives. How will DEIS comments be used? Your comments may ensure sufficient analysis of alternatives and environmental effects, ensure that viewpoints are adequately discussed, result in revisions to the final EIS, or help identify new sources of data or information. To promote informed decision-making, comments on the DEIS should be as specific as possible, may address either the adequacy of the DEIS or the merits of the alternatives discussed or both. Comments should explain why the issues raised are important to the consideration of potential environmental effects and alternatives to the proposed project. Where possible, comments should reference the corresponding section or page number of the DEIS, propose specific changes to those parts of the statement, and describe any data, sources, or methodology that support the proposed changes. There are steps remaining in the Corps review process prior to a final decision on the project, which include, but are not limited to, Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act consultation is ongoing. This consult is informed by the NEPA process, but is a separate legal requirement that must be completed. In December of 2025, the Corps received additional information from the applicant related to the 408 permission regarding the potential use of an existing road on top of a levee to bring construction equipment to the proposed facility site. The Corps is coordinating with the applicant on the details of how the applicant would utilize existing transportation infrastructure to bring equipment and materials to the site for construction. As stated in the draft EIS, that could be via an existing road that is on top of a levee or by rail. If the applicant continues with the proposal to use the road on top of the levee, the necessary engineering analysis will be conducted prior to a 408 permission or Section 404 permit being issued. In summary, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Portland District has received a request from Next Renewable Fuels LLC for a Department of the Army Clean Water Act permit and potentially a Section 408 permission. The Corps is currently soliciting comments on the DEIS to inform the completion of the FEIS. This FEIS will evaluate the environmental consequences of the project and the project alternatives. The Corps will use the FEIS in conjunction with other relevant information, including public and agency comments, to inform the final decision of whether to authorize the project under applicable laws. The Corps will prepare a record of decision to document the final decision after publication of the FEIS. Under Section 404 of the Clean Water Act, the Corps may decide to 1. Issue a permit, 2. Issue a permit with modification, or 3. Deny the permit. The following is a basic summary of the Corps' projected timeline to reach a final decision. These dates are current estimates and are provided solely to inform the public. It is important to note that this timeline is subject to change based on the amount of time it actually takes to complete all remaining steps in the Corps' review process. First, the Corps, applicant, and contractor will review, synthesize, and respond to the draft EIS comments and begin drafting the final EIS once the draft EIS comment period concludes on April 20th, 2026. Second, after independently reviewing the final EIS, the Corps will publish a notice of availability of the final EIS and allow the required 30-day waiting period to elapse in summer to fall of 2026. Third, the Corps will prepare a record of decision to document our final decision. The projected completion of the record of decision is fall 2026. Fourth, the Corps will provide the final decision to the applicant once the record of decision is complete. This concludes the presentation on the DEIS process and on the proposed project. All notices and other information for the EIS will be available on the Corps' website. As discussed, we are seeking your comments on the DEIS. To ensure consideration, please submit your comments by April 20th, 2026. The preferred way to submit comments is by email. You may submit comments by email to nexteis@usace.army.mil. You may also submit comments by mail to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Portland District. Attention James Davidson for the next project. Post Office Box 2946, Portland, Oregon 97208-2946. We will also accept oral comments during these public meetings. We will now begin the portion of the meeting where we will accept oral comments. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to comment. Please note written comments and oral comments will be considered equally. Anyone in attendance may request to speak and provide comments. If you would like to speak, please click the raise hand icon in Teams. If you joined today's meeting by phone and would like to speak, please dial *5 to virtually raise your hand. If during the meeting you decide you would no longer like to speak, you can click the raise hand icon again to lower your hand, or for those on the phone, you can dial *5 again to lower your hand. If you are called on and no longer wish to speak, you can simply say pass and we will move on to the next participant. Note, we will only accept one request per person to speak during this meeting. Please listen for your name to be announced, and you will be directed to unmute your microphone. After unmuting, you can quickly check to see that we can hear you. For our record, please begin by stating and spelling your first and last name. For example, John Smith, John Smith. If you are commenting on behalf of an organization, please state the name of the organization. If you are attending this meeting as part of a large group, which may be affiliated with the same organization on a shared computer or phone line, please consider designating a single speaker to comment on behalf of your group. If there are multiple individuals that would like to comment using a shared computer or phone line, please raise your hand, again via your shared Teams interface or phone line, once a speaker in your group concludes their comments. This will allow your next speaker to re-enter the queue. We will endeavor to allow elected representatives to speak first. The timer will start when you begin to provide your comments. Please focus your comments on either the adequacy of the draft EIS or the merits of the alternatives discussed, or both. Comments should explain why the issues raised are important to the consideration of potential environmental effects and alternatives to the proposed project. As this is a public meeting, the use of profanity, personal attacks, or inappropriate language will not be tolerated. Anyone not following these guidelines will be muted, and we will move on to the next participant. Thank you for your participation, and we look forward to your comments. As a reminder, we will conclude this public meeting promptly at the scheduled time. Depicted on the slide is a screenshot of the Teams meeting interface. Across the top menu bar, you will note the location of the raised hand icon. Click here if you would like to speak. Click here again if you no longer wish to speak. You will also note the microphone icon in the top menu bar. Participants are muted and will not have video capability. Participants will be called on and instructed to click the mic to unmute their microphone. Raised hands will display at the top of the participants list on the right side of your screen. As a reminder to our phone participants, dial *5 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute when you are called on to speak. We'll now begin the public comment period. As a reminder, you'll have 3 minutes to speak. We're going to do our best to clear the queue of speakers in the time that we have allotted. You can always attend tomorrow's meeting as well. And you can always submit written comments through April 20th, 2026. We'll begin working through the speakers. And as I said before, we're going to try to allow our elected officials who are in attendance to speak first. So the first official I have on my list would be Representative Gamba. You can begin your comments at any time, sir. Representative Gamba, if you can hear me, I can't hear you. I've enabled your microphone. You'll need to unmute yourself in Teams and then begin your comments. Okay. Well, it doesn't appear as though I can hear you, Representative Campbell. We'll move on to our next speaker and we'll try to circle back. It appears that our next commenter might be a Mr. Nate Steese on behalf of Governor Kotek. I'm looking through to unmute your microphone, Mr. Steese. We've actually got a pretty long list of speakers. You can begin your comments at any time, Mr. Steese, I believe.
Mr. Stice, your microphone is enabled and you need to just change the settings to enable your microphone so that you can speak. Mr. Stice, we're going to move on. We're going to come back to you if we can. We're going to move on to Senator Suzanne Weber's office. I've enabled your microphone. So if you can now, go up into the corner, hit the microphone icon so that you can speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I appreciate that. For the record, my name is Suzanne Weber, and it is my honor to represent the people of Columbia County and District 16 in the Oregon Senate. Today, I am expressing my support for the next renewable fuels proposal to construct a renewable diesel production facility in Port Westward. The Port Westward site is appropriately zoned for industrial use, and this proposal has met all applicable county land use requirements. In addition, the project has received the necessary approvals related to land, air, and water permits. These approvals reflect compliance with some of the highest environmental and community protection standards, while also ensuring the project can operate efficiently within existing local and state infrastructure. This project is designed to utilize existing infrastructure and adjacent transloading services. It minimizes the overall footprint of the facility when compared to alternative locations. Available modeling indicates the project will not impede local water systems and planned wetland restoration within the Beaver Drainage District. It is expected to provide meaningful benefits to both wildlife habitat and neighboring agricultural operations. This project represents a significant economic opportunity for Columbia County and the state of Oregon. The capital investment associated with construction and operation is expected to support thousands of jobs and generate a substantial long-term revenue for local governments. In addition, the presence of this facility will support local businesses through increased economic activity. This is a unique opportunity to support responsible development that aligns with both environmental standards and economic growth. The community has voiced sustained support for this project over many years. I respectfully encourage the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to approve this permit without delay. Thank you very much for your time today and your consideration. I remain respectfully, Suzanne Weber.
Thank you for your comment. Going to be going on to the next participant. We have it, Representative Darcy Edwards. Your microphone has been enabled. So if you can, go up to the microphone icon and then enable your microphone.
Hello.
Hi, go ahead with your comment.
Good afternoon, members of the Army Corps of Engineers, fellow leaders, and community members. I'm Darcy Edwards, representing House District 31, which includes most of Columbia County. I'm here to strongly support Next Renewable Fuels Clean Water Act permit, specifically Alternative 1, Port Westward Site 1. While opinions vary, the clear majority of my constituents support this project and want it approved. I'm here to represent their voices. As a strong advocate for revitalizing rural Oregon's economy, I see Port Westward as the ideal location. It's already zoned industrial with existing rail infrastructure, no new dock or river deepening required, unlike other alternatives that would heavily impact the Columbia River. The draft EIS confirms the community will not be threatened. The facility prioritizes environmental protection, robust berms for containment, best available control technology to minimize emissions, and elimination of over 7 million metric tons of greenhouse gases annually through renewable fuels production. Next, wetlands mitigation is outstanding, restoring quadruple the impacted area by converting more than 450 acres of timberland into thriving wetlands. This will boost pollinators, remove invasives, improve storm resilience, and benefit the region without disrupting irrigation. Economically, it's a win for our community. Construction will bring over 3,000 union jobs with local hiring priority. Operations will create more than 240 family wage jobs our skilled local workforce can fill, reversing the trend where over 70% of Columbia County workers commute out. Families will live and work here, keeping talent and dollars local. This project will generate over $16 million in property taxes and $5.5 million in port fees, directly supporting schools, public safety, health services, and more. I stand with local mayors, the county commission, fellow legislators, and the governor urging approval. Port Westward is the right, responsible choice, environmentally sound, economically vital, and widely supported. I respectfully ask for the Army Corps to select Alternative 1 and approve the permit for Next Renewable Fuels at Port Westward Site 1 without delay. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Moving on to Greg Hinkleman. Your microphone has been enabled. So if you can, please take yourself off mute by going up to the microphone icon. Again, calling on Mr. Greg Henkelman. Your microphone has been enabled. So if you go up into the corner of your screen, you can see a little mic icon. Please click that and unmute yourself. To the next person. We are moving on to the next person. Don't hear anything from you, Greg. Disabling your mic. All right, next person would be Commissioner Courtney Bangs. Courtney, I have enabled your microphone. So if you can go up to the corner of your screen and click on the microphone icon and unmute yourself and give us an audio check. Commissioner Courtney Bangs, we're still waiting on you. If you could just go up into the corner and click the microphone icon. Have not heard anything yet. All right, we're moving on to the next person. Mr. Brian Fawcett. Your microphone has been enabled, so if you want to go up into the corner of the screen, unmute yourself, please give us a check.
Can you hear me?
Right. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Right. My name is Brian Fawcett, Brian Fawcett, and I'm a commissioner for the Port of Columbia County. I've been following the project closely for the better part of a decade, and I'm speaking now to support Next. I appreciate the Army Corps' diligence in evaluating this project and publishing such a robust EIS. Clearly, your team has taken a look at all aspects under your jurisdiction and arrived at a conclusion that Port Westward is a suitable choice for this facility, especially when compared to the alternatives. I was pleased to see that the draft EIS includes all of the safety measures Next has put in place throughout its design. Safety is the highest priority for the port, and we expect the same of our tenants. Next has designed in both manual and automatic shutoff systems, buffer zone collection systems, and enhanced containment berms. Their safety plans and operational systems integrate well into our overall port operations, and we appreciate how their team has worked with port staff and first responder agencies throughout the years to consider a whole array of scenarios. I've heard concerns about building on liquefiable soil, so I wanted to take a moment and remind the agency that heavy industry has operated safely on this land for nearly a century. Industry has handled flooding events and kept operations going. Our heavy industrial users design for seismic events, and Next will be building its facility according to modern seismic standards. They will also be reinforcing the land beneath the facility with pilings and engineered fill to reinforce their foundation. This is exactly how a responsible engineering team designs their project. Lastly, I just want to thank everyone for participating in the public comment process. I know it takes time out of your schedules. It's good to hear the concerns folks have, and it's encouraging to hear how many local residents and folks want to welcome Next into our county. Thank you again, and please approve the permit for Next to move forward.
Thank you for your comment. Move on to try and follow up with our representatives again. Mr. Nate Stice. I have enabled your microphone, so if you want to hit the button and unmute yourself now, the little microphone button. Mr. Stice, your microphone is enabled, so if you can hit the button to unmute yourself, please. We do not hear you. All right, I'm going to move on to Representative Mark Gamba. Your microphone has been enabled. Please go up into the corner and hit the microphone icon to unmute yourself. All right, we're going to move on to Commissioner Courtney Banks. Try one more time. Your microphone has been enabled, so if you can, go up in the corner.
For
Get some
others
mic-
that are, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
For others who are struggling with this, you'll have to log completely out of the meeting and then enable your microphone before you re-enter the meeting. Okay. Dear Mr. Davidson, I currently serve as a Clatsop County Commissioner, and I am running for State Senator in District 16, which includes the project site and the surrounding communities. I'm voicing my strong support for the next renewable fuels and would like to see their Clean Water Act permit approved as quickly as possible. The draft EIS demonstrates that the next facility can be built and operated in Port Westward without significant impacts to the community or the environment. The impacts that the EIS does identify are minimized through design or mitigated with additional technical conditions. For instance, the project site is already zoned for industrial use, but next will disturb 100 acres of low-value wetlands. As a condition, and this was approved by the Oregon Department of State Lands, next will restore nearly 500 acres of wetlands within the same area, which is a massive benefit to the local ecosystem, the nearby organic farming operations, and to the natural water filtration in the Beaver Drainage District. The EIS also concludes that the safety aspects of the facility meet the highest state and federal standards. Next, we'll have automatic shutoff systems, seismic monitoring, and containment berms to handle any incidents. The facility will also be built on top of ground that has been reinforced with engineered fill to minimize the impacts of potential earthquakes. Further, next will be built to modern seismic safety standards, which will also make the facility a key piece of Oregon's resiliency plan if natural disasters or other issues cause the Olympic pipeline to shut down. This is not an industrial site of the past, but one built to the highest environmental standards for our future. Next is also locating the facility in an area with a skilled workforce that can be used to construct and operate the facility. Next has publicly stated that they will prioritize local hiring and will use skilled union labor. This is a tremendous benefit because it means the facility will be multi-generational job creator. For too many of our kids, they are forced to move away from home to find work. Next, we'll bring a new industrial economy that gives our kids the choice to stay and work where they grow up. This will be an economic beacon for Senate District 16 and demonstrates that while it isn't easy to get through permitting processes, good projects can make it through. It'll show that rural Oregon is open for business. I'm proud to join the thousands of local residents that support this project, and I hope that you adopt Port Westward site in your final EIS and approve the permit. Thank you so much. Again, Courtney Bangs, Clatsop County Commissioner and Senate District 16 candidate.
Thank you for your comment. All right, we'll be calling on Andrew Osborne. Your microphone has been enabled. So if you want to go up into the corner of your screen, click on the little microphone icon and unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you. Go ahead.
Name's Andrew Osborne, ANDREW, OSBORN. Like I said, my name is Andrew Osborne. I've been a citizen of Columbia County for 35 years. My families were some of the first settlers of the county in 1852, and we've remained active members of this community ever since. Currently, I live in Scappoose, Oregon with my wife and 2 daughters. I serve on the Columbia County Planning Commission, and professionally, I'm a labor representative for the United Association Local Union 669. I represent workers across Oregon and Washington. I'm deeply invested in this community, and I care greatly about the land and the people who call it home. I support next renewable fuels and believe that their permit should be approved for construction and operation at Port Westward. Based on my review of the project, it is appropriately sited within the existing industrial area of the port, alongside other long-standing heavy industrial uses. While there are homes, farms, and businesses in the Beaver Drainage District, this project aligns with the established industrial character of the area. Additionally, the project's access to existing multimodal infrastructure minimizes the need for new supporting development. Over the past 8 years, this project has undergone extensive review, arguably more than any other project in Columbia County. It has been subject to numerous agency evaluations, public comment periods, and community discussions. Throughout this process, it has been encouraging to see strong public engagement, as well as widespread support from community members and leadership at the local and state federal levels. What stands out most to me is NEXT's willingness to listen and adapt. The company has made meaningful changes in response to community input, demonstrating a commitment to collaboration rather than imposition. This has not been a rushed process. There's been no fast tracking or cutting of corners. After 8 years of scrutiny, the environmental impact statement reflects that many agencies have already concluded that this is a well-planned project that will provide net benefits to both the environment and the community. I respectfully request that the Army Corps adhere to the established public comment process and move forward with the approval of the Clean Water Act permit so this project can proceed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comment. I'm going to try one more time for Mr. Nate Stice. Nate Stice, your microphone has now been enabled. If you can, please go up into the corner of the screen, click on the mic icon, and unmute yourself. All right, Nate, still don't hear you, so I'm going to try again with somebody else here. Moving on, let's go to Dr. Theodora Songas. Theodora, your microphone is enabled.
Can you hear me?
I can, go ahead.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Theodora Tsongas, Tsongas. I'm an environmental health scientist with a career in public health. The draft environmental impact statement is inadequate for many reasons. First, if we are seriously concerned about climate disruption, then we must look for real solutions and implement them without delay. We are in a climate emergency, and the proposed next refinery would be one of Oregon's largest greenhouse gas emitters, using large quantities of fracked gas and unsustainable feedstocks to produce so-called renewable diesel fuel, as well as jet fuel that still contains 50% or more fossil fuel. The feedstocks would be brought in by rail from the Midwest, increasing the release of diesel emissions, exacerbating climate disruption, and increasing air and water pollution, with the resulting adverse effects on human and ecosystem health. A so-called renewable fuel facility that proposes to use fossil gas and generates greenhouse gases in order to produce this fuel is not addressing the problem, but it's only creating a bigger problem. The fact that the DEIS states that potential global climate effects or localized greenhouse gas emissions are outside the agency's jurisdiction is an outright application of responsibility. The DEIS states that the incremental train movements associated with Alternative 1 would not substantially affect regional freight rail capacity or at-grade crossing performance, and cumulative rail impacts, including safety, would remain minor. Even one delayed ambulance cannot be considered a minor impact. Delays at railroad crossings can significantly and adversely impact emergency vehicle response times, with the real potential for worsening outcomes, including death rather than survival. Estimated 7.5-minute response times are too long for a stroke victim or fire response. Furthermore, the proposed rail yard with increased rail traffic and mile-long unit trains will significantly increase air pollution. The next proposal does not address potential adverse health impacts on the local and regional community. Diesel emissions from train, truck, and marine vessel engines, including a large number of heavy haul trucks to move fill, are a significant health hazard and would adversely impact the air quality in the county and region, resulting in increased illness and death from heart, lung, and vascular disease, as well as developmental and cognitive disturbances. None of the first three alternatives addresses the adverse health and environmental impacts of this proposed project. The no action alternative must be chosen. This project is contrary to the public interest. We cannot afford the long-term destruction of local, regional, and global environments upon which we depend for life. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Looks like I'm going to go down to a Casey Finnegan. Casey Finnegan, your microphone has now been enabled. Please go to the corner.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Casey Finnegan. I'm a steam fitter of UA Local 290. I've spent my life rolling up my sleeves, doing hard work to take care of my family. I know what it means to work hard, and I also know how much I rely on the land, the rivers, and the forest around us. They aren't just scenery. They are the heart of our communities, the places where our children play, and the air and water we depend on every day. The next renewable fuels project gives me hope. It means good jobs for hardworking people like me, but it also means cleaner air to breathe, rivers that remain healthy, and a future where our children can grow up in Oregon we love. This project shows that we don't have to choose between the environment and work. We can have both. I believe in the people who will build and operate this facility, and I believe in the careful planning and safeguards that will protect our forest and wildlife. Every decision we make now affects the generations that come after us. By supporting renewable fuels, we are standing up for our families, our neighbors, and the natural beauty that makes Oregon home. Please consider how much this project can give. Jobs, cleaner air, healthier water, and a sustainable future for our communities. This isn't just about energy, it's about protecting the Oregon we love and the people who call it home. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. All right, I'm going to go to Haley Vocal. Haley, your microphone has been enabled. So if you can go to the corner of your screen and then unmute yourself with using the microphone icon. Haley Vocal, I don't hear you. So if you can check your audio settings, go up to the corner of your screen. There's usually a little microphone icon or a speaker icon. Click on that. Oh, looks like your hand went down. All right, next person, I'm going to move to Robert Posert. Mr. Posert, your microphone has been enabled. Please go to the mic icon and unmute yourself. Mr. Robert Posert, your microphone has been enabled. If you click the little icon in the corner of the screen that says mic. All right, then move on to the next person. Let's go with Jennifer Shoemaker. Jennifer, your microphone
Yes,
has
hello.
been enabled. All right,
Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
My name is Jennifer Shoemaker, Jennifer Schumaker. I live at Great Vows Zen Monastery. I love this community and deeply appreciate the beautiful valley we're privileged to live in. Every day I come to know and love this river valley more, from the frogs at night to the deer to the birds. I appreciate the hard work of the farmers and merchants. I appreciate the foods from the local farmers I can buy at the food hub, the blueberries and the mint from local growers. I value the services and people when I buy groceries at Safeway or use the post office. If a corporation wants to be a valued part of this community, great. If the corporation wants to be an asset, a true contributor to our community, great. Present the community with truthful plans that are then evaluated by our government representation, the Army Corps of Engineers, fully with clear and integrity-based analysis. But NextCorp promised many things that were fabrications. This community has been lied to, and those lies need to be dealt with. Next Corporation is poised to come into our community to do as it will, regardless of community benefit or opinion. Here's just one example of how the impacts to public health and safety and traffic and transportation are unrealistically rated by the DEIS as minor or moderate. Next promised ships that would bring in feedstock and transport our product. No rails, no trains, they promised. This promise was deeply important to the local people for many reasons, I'll be addressing one, and helped gain some goodwill toward the project. Soon Next promised they'd have a small rail yard for incidental use. Now Next promises an expanded rail yard, spur, and tracks with plans to run 622 cars per week. What's next from Next? Their promises are already broken. What will be the real number of cars per week or day? What will it be? In addition to the disruption or ruin of the natural environment we live in, the trains pose another danger. Look around you right now, or the next time you're at the store, driving past a farm or home, or passing a friend or neighbor. Someone you know or love, or maybe you yourself, may lose property or animals, or suffer needless pain or health consequences, or even die because a long train blocked access to emergency responders when they were needed. My own newborn granddaughter began to have trouble breathing. We rushed her to the hospital. A 5-minute delay waiting for a train she would have died if we had had a 5-minute delay in her receiving emergency care. I asked the Army Corps of Engineers to redraft the EIS to reflect the real proposals by Next and address the inconsistencies and fabrications therein, and to then deny the permit for the refinery project. I asked the Army Corps of Engineers to deny this. I asked them to listen to the people who live here, who want to stop this refinery that in so many ways threatens our very air. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Going to move on to somebody on the phone here. We have phone number ending in 0481. Phone number ending in 0481. I have enabled your mic, and you need to dial *6 to unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. My name is Tracy Prescott McGregor, TRACY PRESCOTT-MACGREGOR. I live a few miles from the proposed site downriver on the Columbia River, and I am speaking for my next door neighbor, Warren Seeley, who is fourth generation Clatskanie farmer and president of the Beaver Drainage Improvement Corporation. The Beaver Drainage Improvement Company manages a levee system in Columbia County that protects both farmland and industrial areas, including Port Westward. The problem is that this system is over 100 years old and no longer meets modern flood protection standards. First, the levee itself is physically outdated. It was built in the early 1900s, and over time it has settled and degraded in part due to construction activities at Port Westward. According to engineering reviews conducted as part of FEMA levee accreditation, elevations, parts of the levee are known to be over 3 feet lower than what's required to provide adequate flood protection today. In addition, local engineering assessments and county materials have noted subsidence along levee roads, including areas like Erickson Dike Road and Kalunky Road. These reports indicate that repeated heavy vehicle traffic, particularly industrial and truck traffic, are contributing to ongoing settlement and weakening of the levee structure. Second, the levee is not currently certified by the Federal Emergency Management Agency or the USACE. FEMA documentation and mapping updates have confirmed that the system does not meet the requirements for protection against a 100-year flood. Without that certification, the area is considered higher risk, which affects flood insurance development and overall public safety. Another major concern is seepage, water moving through or under the levee. This issue has been identified in multiple technical reviews, including U.S. Army Corps of Engineers inspections and local project analyses tied to wetland mitigation work near Port Westward. These reports document active seepage zones along portions of the levee. Seepage is a serious structural issue because it can lead to internal erosion, also known as piping, which is one of the leading causes of levee failure. Federal inspections have already flagged these problems. According to inspection reports from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the levee system has received an unacceptable rating. This designation means that there are known deficiencies, such as seepage, structural weakness, inadequate height, and ongoing settlement that have not been corrected. Fixing these problems will not be simple or cheap. Engineering assessments indicate that achieving certification would require raising the levee, reinforcing its structure, relocating multiple houses, addressing seepage, and stabilizing sections affected by subsidence. These types of upgrades would likely cost hundreds of millions of dollars and require coordination with agencies like the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. In summary, the Beaver Drainage District levee system faces serious, well-documented challenges. It is aging, structurally deficient, experiencing subsidence worsened by heavy traffic, not federally certified, and unable to protect the proposed next facility. These findings are supported by FEMA evaluations, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers inspections, and local planning reports, all of which point to the same conclusion. This system cannot currently be relied on to provide adequate flood protection, and new development is unsafe if sited within it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. All right, next person we're going to move on to is Michael Bridges. Michael, your Microphone has been enabled, so
All right, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
All right, my name's Mike Bridges, for the record, Mikebridges, and I live in Longview, Washington. I'm an IBEW electrician by trade, and I have 15 years of working in the field on projects similar to the next proposed next facility. Some of these projects were actually new developments, and some were maintaining current facilities actually at the Port Westward site. For the last 15 years, I have been a business representative for IBEW Local 48, and I'm also president of our local building trades council, where I have had the privilege of representing thousands of electricians and building trades professionals in Oregon and Southwest Washington. I'd like to share some of the reasons why IBEW 48 and the building trades are in full support of the next renewable fuels and excited to be at this final stage of the permitting process. Growing up in a rural community myself, I have seen firsthand the negative impacts to our communities when large employers leave a community and there isn't something there to backfill the jobs lost. Next Clean Fuels has committed to build and operate this facility with local workforce, all while not asking for any tax breaks or incentives. This will translate into millions of new tax dollars annually to local schools and services that are underfunded and in need of resources. The commitment from Next to the community and to the local workforce is important to IBEW 48 and the building trades. And it's not a common practice in the industry base, from my experience with working with developers. Our members and their families will of course benefit from the thousands of construction jobs created during the build out and future maintenance of the facility, but they also live in these communities that this project will help lift up. This project will create over 3,000 construction jobs throughout the build out, and there will be potentially hundreds of apprentices helping to construct this facility. This opportunity is essential for growing the necessary skilled tradespeople needed, and also very exciting for IBEW 48 because a portion of those apprentices on this project are currently applicants we have on a waiting list. They have gone through rigorous application, testing, and interview processes, and just waiting for a chance to get started on their journey, 4 to 5 year journey to pathway to a journey level status in a career in the trades that will provide family wages, healthcare, and the ability to retire with dignity. IBEW 48 and its members are heavily involved in creating the green economy. We are building and will continue to build all types of renewable energy and transmission infrastructure necessary to meet our climate goals. And we certainly need and want to build the next facility that will help us transition to cleaner transportation fuels through decarbonization. On behalf of the members of IBEW 48 and the building trades members I represent, I respectfully request the approval of this permit so we can get to work building this thing. And I really want to thank you guys for the opportunity to comment today.
Thank you for your comment. I'm going to move on to Kathy Sampson Cruz. Kathy, your microphone has been enabled. Kathy Sampson, your microphone has been enabled. Please go up into the corner and select the microphone icon.
All right. This is Kathy.
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Kathy Sampson Cruzy. I'm the eldest daughter of the late chief of the Walla Walla people, Carl Sampson, Pio Pio Mox Mox, and my beloved mother, who just celebrated her 90th birthday. Our people are at the base of the Blue Mountains, down the Great Columbia River. My husband and I have retired to the Oregon coast. I'm not an elected official. I'm here as a grandma. And I want to thank everyone for being a part of this testimony. Our families and tribes have followed this issue for many years. And we've traveled up into that part of the country for basketball games as well through Nichhowie Community School. And I used to go to high school at Scappoose many, many years ago. I have to say that I support alternative 4. And one of the main reasons is because of section 106, talking about the National Historic Preservation. And it's been said, and I quote, that this area you're speaking about, I mean, it's in the heart of the Columbia River estuary. And that means a lot, I know, to the people that have been speaking. And I'm always very humbled to hear the testimony of those folks on both sides of the issue. Because it just means a lot to hear that there's so much passion and love and concern for the land, the air and the water, the first foods, the crops that people are growing, the people that are taking care of the land there that have been for so many years, the first peoples that were there, the tribal peoples. I'm concerned, though, that sometimes people forget. They forget some of the words that we've heard before. And some of those words are, we need economic growth. We need jobs. We know it will be safe. And we as Native people have heard those words before. You folks have heard those words before with different industries that have come in and promised those things. Right across the river from us is Hanford, you know, one of the biggest environmental disasters in the continent. And if you look at Next Refinery's industry in Texas, I'm sure they told those same kind of words to the people there in those communities who now have to suffer some of those health benefits and degradations of their communities and their land and their air and their waters, and suffer from those industries that are destroying them.
Thank you.
So, and finally,
If you could finish up your
say,
thought real quick.
I say that I urge you to read a Turtle Mountain Ojibwe writer, Erdrich's book. It's called In the Fight Against the Little Big Bully, because that's what we're all facing. We're facing little big bullies that are coming after everything that is precious to us, and we need to stop them. Ai Katsiayo. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go to Jasmine Lilich. Jasmine, your microphone has been enabled. Please go up in the corner of your screen. There should be a little microphone icon and hit the button to unmute yourself. Jasmine, I saw that your hand got lowered. I will move to the next person. We're going to try Nate Stice one more time here. Mr. Nate Stice, your microphone has been enabled.
I think it worked this time.
All right, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Thank you. And for the record, Nate Stice, I'm Representative Governor Tina Kotek, and also for the record, the mic did not turn on the previous 3 or 4 times you have called on me. So I'm here to read a letter from Governor Kotek into the record. The letter is dated December 30th, 2025, and is to Colonel Dale Caswell, the Commander and District Engineer of the Portland District of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Dear Colonel Caswell, I'm writing to express my support for the proposed Nix Clean Fuels facility at Port Westward in Columbia County. This $3 billion private investment represents a significant opportunity for rural Oregon, both economically and environmentally, and has undergone rigorous review and permitting at the state and county levels. Nix Clean Fuels has worked closely with state agencies and local communities to ensure the project meets, and in many cases exceeds, Oregon's environmental protection standards. The facility has received a removal fill permit from the Oregon Department of State Lands and a 401 water quality certification from the Oregon Department of Environmental Quality. It also underwent a comprehensive Clean Air Oregon review, which confirmed that local communities will not be adversely impacted by construction or operation. Public engagement has been robust, and the company has demonstrated a strong commitment to transparency and responsiveness. The project is expected to generate over 3,000 union construction jobs and 240 permanent positions, with thousands more indirect jobs across the region. It will contribute more than $45 million annually in tax revenue to the state of Oregon and Columbia County, and over $5.5 million in fees to the Port of Columbia County. These are meaningful impacts for rural communities. From an environmental standpoint, Nix Clean Fuels will produce renewable diesel and sustainable aviation fuel, displacing up to 750 million gallons of fossil fuels annually and reducing over 7 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions. The facility's ultra-low carbon intensity fuels derived from recycled organic feedstocks align with Oregon's climate goals and offer immediate air quality benefits. Additionally, the company has committed to restoring over 470 acres of adjacent land into vibrant wetlands. This will be one of the largest private restoration efforts along the Columbia River. The initiative will enhance habitat, improve water quality, and provide flood mitigation benefits. Given the extensive state-level vetting and broad coalition of support from labor organizations, environmental leaders, local governments, and business groups, I respectfully urge the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to give full and timely consideration to this project. Oregon stands ready to support the federal review process and collaborate to ensure that this project moves forward responsibly and efficiently. Thank you for your attention to this important matter. Sincerely, Governor Tina Kotek. And I will just add on the back end here that the way that I was finally able to get in and provide this testimony for others struggling is by joining on my browser rather than through my Teams app, and leaving my microphone enabled as I joined. Thank you for the time.
Thank you for the comment. All right, we're going to move on to Maureen Milton. Maureen, your microphone has now been enabled.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
My name is Maureen Milton, Maureen Milton. And first of all, I'd like to thank the Army Corps of Engineers for doing this work. And I'd like to start with, I, like many of you, am a breather of air. Like few of you, I'm also a Zen Buddhist priest, which means that I breathe professionally. I reside and work within 1 mile of the proposed next diesel refinery at the environmentally and seismically sensitive Port Westward. At Great Bow Zen Monastery, we are in the quiet business. While it varies, between 15 to 30 people from all over the U.S. and the world reside at the monastery. As well, 60 to 100 people monthly come to the monastery for retreats and programs. We meditate and pray daily, invoking the spirit of peace, equanimity, and kindness. These efforts are bolstered by the calm, quiet, and beauty of our rural setting, all of which will be destroyed by both the construction and workings of this noxious, belching concrete monstrosity from Texas. The EIS basis for air quality assessment is located on Sauvie Island, over 30 miles from the proposed refinery site, so surely the EIS gauge of air quality sensors are required at the proposed site itself. The current report omits the monastery from the DIS health risk analysis entirely, despite its being within 1 mile of the proposed refinery. Here at Great Bow, we could host a sensor, and only then will the EIS accurately be able to assess the actual cumulative impact of the additional pollution already gauged as moderate, without actually monitoring within 30 miles, only 30 miles. In conversation with neighbors directly adjacent to the proposed site, there have been significant concerns over air pollution and its effects on the neighbor's family, adults, children, and pets, as well as livestock. Moreover, one neighbor expressed concern over light pollution, illuminating his home, his sister's nearby home, as well as pastures, barns, equipment, and outbuildings. Another neighbor who is elderly and lives on John District Road with his family expressed concern about complete cutoff of emergency access to their home on the riverside of the railroad tracks. And while interspecies conversations are tricky, I'd also like to speak on behalf of the other neighbors, the majestic eagles, lithe herons, mischievous river otters, and the crunchy shellfish, wily smelt, and tasty salmon that they eat. The DIS grossly understates the impact of by the construction and running of the refinery on groundwater, water quality, fish and wildlife, noise, sound, and underwater sound, gauging them as merely negligible or moderate when in fact they will be significant or major. I respectfully urge the Army Corps to deny this permit. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next person, I'm going to Mr. Ben Nelson. Ben Nelson, your microphone has been enabled. If you want to go to the corner of the screen, select the microphone icon, and now you can unmute yourself. Ben, I don't hear you speaking, so try again if that icon is there. And if it's not grayed out, click on the little mic button to unmute yourself. All right, Ben, looks like your hand has been lowered. I'm going to move on to Randall Friesen. Randall, your microphone has been enabled. If you can, go up to the mic button and unmute yourself. Randall Friesen. Randall, I don't hear you speaking. So if you just go up to the microphone button and unmute yourself and try again, let me see. Randall, I'm going to lower your hand. You may need to re-enter the meeting, those of you who are having issues. Next person on the list that I will go to, Mr. Brad Archuleta. Brad, your microphone has now been enabled. So if you can, go up to the little microphone icon and unmute yourself. Brad, I don't hear you speaking. Could click that button. A couple more seconds. Brad, I'm lowering your hand. You're going to re-enter the meeting. The next person, Mr. Chad Fennison. Chad, your microphone has now been enabled.
Am I live?
You are live. Go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you. So my name is Chad Fennison, spelled F as in Frank, E-N-I-S-O-N. And I'm speaking from the perspective of someone that works on these kinds of projects. First of all, I would like to say that I respect everybody's opinion on here. This is a complicated, complex project, and everybody that's voiced their opinion on here, I respect them for voicing their opinion. And I can see where some of these counter opinions from me are coming from. So I respect the people that voiced their opinion. I just wanted to mention that. So I've lived on the Oregon coast for 30 years. I love the Oregon coast. Moved here when I was 18. Never left. I love nature. I live on the Oregon coast. I go fishing and berry picking and gathering plants with my wife. I care about the environment. I'm a steward of the outdoors. I'm also a 20-year union construction worker, and I made a living on working on environmentally conscious jobs like this one, in my opinion. Next Energy will create 3,000 union jobs during the construction with 240 permanent jobs to man the facility. It's a renewable fuels will offset some fossil fuels, which is always a great thing because we're moving in the right direction. I think most people would agree on that. Construction will take place on an existing industrial site, which is always something I love to see because you're not really, it's already an existing industrial site. We're adding to the site. The infrastructure is already there. Seems like a great thing for that site and the community. I'm also a local 737 Labor's International Union of North America rep who takes care of the Columbia County and Port Westford area. Our union has 2,700 members in Oregon. That's how many members we have in Oregon. And many of them live in the Port Western area. And this project would be great for our members and, in my opinion, the community. I support this project, and I hope the Corps approves the project for the Port Westford site. And I would like to thank the Corps for the opportunity to comment. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. I'm now going to go to somebody on the phone phone number ending in 6924. Your microphone has now been enabled. Phone number ending in 6924. Please press *6 to enable your microphone and unmute yourself. Phone number is 6924. I think we can't hear you. So if you want to hit *6 to unmute your microphone. All right, doesn't seem like it's working there. We're going to move on to the next person on the phone. I've got phone number ending in 0481. Your microphone has been enabled. Phone number ending in 0481. Please press *6 to unmute yourself.
Oh, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. And there's a little bit of echo.
Perfect. My name is Jasmine Lillich, JASMINE LILLICH. I'm a fifth generation Clatskanie resident and the executive director of the Clatskanie Farmer Collective. We operate the farmers market and year-round food hub in Clatskanie, working with more than 100 producers across the lower Columbia region. I'm speaking as someone building a local food economy here and who also lives here.
The proposed site is within the Beaver Drainage District, a managed floodplain system of nearly 6,000 acres. About 80% of that district is actively farmed. This is not vacant land, it's a working landscape. The district supports active agricultural production, salmon habitat, and long-standing family farms with class 1, 2, and 3 soils, irrigation, and strong water access, making it highly productive land and a critical resource for the region. What I'm about to share reflects concerns we've been hearing consistently from neighboring farms, local landowners, and others in our network for the past 6 years of following this project and reviewing this 6,000-page DEIS. The DEIS is evaluating a proposal that would permanently fill over 100 acres of wetlands within this system. The question is not just what happens on the project footprint, it's what happens to the rest of the district when water storage, movement, and groundwater conditions are changed within an interconnected system. The impacts are substantial and need to be fully evaluated for effects on drainage capacity and adjacent farmland over time. This is also a levee-protected landscape with known limitations. The levee system is over 100 years old, does not meet modern flood protection standards, and is not federally certified. Seepage and subsidence have been documented, and federal inspections have given the system an unacceptable rating. As outlined by the Beaver Drainage Improvement Company, addressing these deficiencies would require raising and reinforcing the levee, relocating homes, addressing seepage, and stabilizing subsidence, work that could cost hundreds of millions of dollars and require coordination with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Farms, roads, drainage, and flood protection all depend on that system working. That should be central to this analysis. Another issue is the water pathway. The DEIS describes stormwater leaving the site into the broader drainage system, where water is actively managed and used for agriculture. That raises questions about how site runoff interacts with irrigation, drainage, working farms, and private wells that rely on that same system. The DEIS also needs to be consistent about what project is being analyzed. There are questions about feedstocks, transportation, and changes over time, and the analysis should reflect the current proposal. There is already an economy here: livelihoods, public investment, and working systems in farming, fishing, food production, habitat restoration, and local infrastructure. So my ask is that the Corps fully evaluate this project in the context of the system it's being placed in, not just the site, but the Beaver Drainage District as a functioning agricultural and hydrological system and the long-term viability of the farms, fisheries, and communities that depend on it. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you.
Thank you for your comment. I'm going to go to Mr. Graham Trainer. Graham, your microphone has been enabled. If you can go to the mic button in the corner of your screen and click on that microphone button to unmute yourself. Mr. Graham Trainer. I guess it takes me. Mr. Trainer, I can't hear you. Just give you a couple more seconds to come off mute. Your microphone is enabled, so if you just click that little microphone button in the corner, it should allow you to unmute. All right, Mr. Trainer, I'm lowering your hand. I'll move on to another person here. Jessica Ard. Jessica, your microphone is now enabled. So if you can, click the microphone button on your interface to unmute yourself. Jessica, I can't hear you speaking, so if you can, give you a couple more seconds to go to the button in the corner of the screen that enables your microphone.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Oh, sweet. My name is Jessica Ard, Jessica I live in Rainier, Oregon. I'm a licensed journeyman plumber with UA Local 290, and I've worked on a variety of large commercial and industrial projects. I'm proud to say that this includes green projects such as the Edith Green Wendell Wyatt Federal Building in downtown Portland. I've attended several community meetings that Next Gen Fuels has had in the area roughly 4 years ago and spoke to their representatives as well as to representatives from the port. My primary concern living in the neighboring town with a project of this scale and type being built was whether the company representatives could demonstrate knowledge of the work involved in building, maintaining, and operating in that type of building while mitigating the impact to the community and the environment. I was also interested in whether they would be paying their fair share of taxes, utilities, and the cost of expanding infrastructure to accommodate their operations, as many projects of this scope do not. My professional impression was that they were genuine, knowledgeable, and I was pleased to find that those of us who live in Columbia County, and particularly those of us that are on the same electrical grid as them, will not be subsidizing them. I support the project being built at Port Westward. And on an unrelated and really weird side note, you have an easement on my property for part of the levee. You guys did a great job on that. Anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comment. We're going to go to Rachel Tussler. Rachel, your microphone is now enabled.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Rachel Tussler, RachelTusler, and I'm commenting today to urge the Army Corps of Engineers to deny the permit for the next project. I live in Clatskanie, and I'm very concerned about the impacts this project would have on the land and the water and the wildlife here. And I'm also speaking in support of the concerns raised by the Columbia River Intertribal Fish Commission, or CRITFIC. The proposed site is largely composed of wetlands and soft flood-prone soils located behind an aging levee with known vulnerabilities, as has already been discussed today. This area floods regularly and is not stable enough to safely support a project of this scale or the infrastructure it would require. The proposal also includes filling substantial areas of wetland, which would cause serious harm to a sensitive and already diminished ecosystem. In addition, the site is in an earthquake-prone region, increasing the risk of spills or other accidents that could quickly reach the Columbia River. Refineries of this kind are well-documented sources of pollution, and the surrounding waters are already impaired. The project's own materials do not clearly identify what contaminants would be discharged or how effective treatment systems would be, making it impossible to determine whether water quality standards could be met. Nearby wetlands and sloughs provide essential habitat for salmon and steelhead, including species protected under federal law. These fish are central to tribal treaty rights and cultural lifeways. Harm to them is not only environmental, but also cultural and legal. As someone who lives in this community and is a member of the Osage Nation, I am deeply concerned by the lack of meaningful consultation with the tribes who have stewarded these lands for thousands of years, and by the significant risks to the environment, critical fish habitat, and treaty-protected resources. For these reasons, I urge the Army Corps to deny this permit. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comment. We're going to go to Rob Bates. Rob Bates, your microphone is now enabled. So if you want to go to the microphone icon on your screen, click that to unmute yourself, Mr. Rob Bates. Mr. Bates, we do not hear you, so I'm going to give you a couple more seconds to figure out your audio settings. If you just click that little microphone icon, it should give you the option to unmute yourself. Mr. Bates, I've lowered your hand. If you want to log back out and log into the meeting, try again. I'm going to move on to the next person. Tim Miller, your microphone is now enabled. So please hit the microphone button on your end. That should allow you to unmute yourself. Mr. Tim Miller, I do not hear you speaking. Oh, looks like your hand lowered. I'll go to the next person on the list then. Scott McGregor. Scott McGregor, your microphone is now enabled. So if you can click the microphone button on your end, that should enable and unmute your microphone.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. Scott McGregor, SCOTT-MACGREGOR. Hakilnath Sensna, Statitlam Neskayamson. Hakilnath is who I am. I am Jamestown Sklallam. My wife Tracy and I have a small farm about 2 miles from the site of the proposed refinery where we raise as much of our own food in a sustainable manner as possible. The proposed refinery would be devastating to our lives, but today I wish to speak on behalf of the salmon. My ancestors, like the ancestors of the people who lived here from time immemorial, subsisted largely on salmon. These amazing fish hatch out of eggs laid in the gravel of stream beds throughout this area, make their way down the rivers, and then forage for years in the Pacific Ocean where they grow fat. And then they return to the very streams they came from, bringing us the gift of their flesh, their pink, succulent, delicious flesh. For tens of centuries, the indigenous people respected this gift, taking only what was needed, creating a balance between our species and theirs, and gratefully honoring the salmon in ceremony. The past few generations, however, have disrespected this gift. We have laid waste to the habitat, polluted the waters, and contaminated the air. A worthy goal would be to restore what we have destroyed. The proposed refinery does not do that. The proposed refinery would be instead a huge step backwards and a great obstacle for achieving a sustainable balance. Construction would severely stress the unaccredited dikes and unpredictably alter the hydrology. Operation of the plant would vastly increase ship traffic, rail traffic, truck traffic, and car traffic. The pumping, storage, and transferring of toxic substances would pollute the environment and present a huge risk of a catastrophic incident, all in a landscape that is seriously unsuited to a project of this scale. And don't forget the 350-foot flare tower spewing noxious gases and particulate over a wide range of the lower Columbia River Basin. None of these are good for salmon. The path forward must be towards sustainability. What is decided now will have severe consequences for us and for those who will follow us. Please consider carefully the long-range impacts of this short-sighted scheme and deny permission to proceed. Please consider the salmon. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. We'll move on to next one, Mr. Kirk Malcolm. Kirk Malcolm, your microphone has been enabled.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Hello, and thank you for allowing me to make comment today. My name is Kirk Malcolm, and I am a drywall finisher by trade, also the business representative for our local Union 101, and I represent around 400 members and their families throughout Oregon and Southwest Washington. Oregon has become known as a state where energy projects go to die. There have been many projects that simply haven't met the high bar Oregon expects out of the proposals, or the development team behind the project simply didn't have the resilience to make it through the difficult permitting path projects face in the state. It has been refreshing to see a company that can actually do it. I want to personally thank Chris Efford and his team for showing the state and its residents that good projects really can make it through the permitting gauntlet. However, that's not by luck. Next has a fantastic proposal. Port Westward is an excellent choice for the location. It has infrastructure, a supportive community, and strategic logistics to get projects in and out of the port efficiently. The team's dedication to environmental stewardship is a model for other corporate proposals. They agreed to quadruple the amount of wetlands they impact. This is a major benefit to the environment and the adjacent neighbors. They went through the Clean Air Oregon evaluation twice. Both times the program showed that NEXT does not threaten the health of the local community. They have listened to local farmers, ranchers, and they've shifted their project according to the requests from those neighbors and agencies. They have done everything right to create a project that minimizes impact, maximizes safety, and fits into the spirit of Oregon's aggressive decarbonization goals. I want to thank NEXT for considering this project in Oregon and putting all their hard efforts into making it happen. And I want the Army Corps of Engineers to truly consider a high standard NEXT has already met in order to receive the state and local permits. All of those standards are higher than federal regulation. I sure hope you approve the permit for NEXT, as it is a great opportunity for the people of Oregon, and I do not want to see the state lose another great company like them. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Just as a reminder, if you're on the phone and you want to comment, raise your hand using *5. *5 allows you to raise your hand if you're on the phone. The next person I'm going to go to, Haley Vocal. Haley, your microphone has now been enabled. Please go to the corner and then click the mic button to unmute yourself. Haley, I can't hear you speaking. If you are, there may be some audio settings that you might need to click the little 3 dots or the little drop down next to your microphone to allow you to do something. Haley, I still can't hear you speaking, so I'm going to lower your hand. Try on somebody else. I'm going to go to somebody on the phone. That would be number ending in 5252. Your microphone has now been enabled. Please dial *6 to unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. Go ahead.
Great. Hi, my name is Robert Posert, Rovertposert. I'm a resident of Great Vow Monastery on Quincy Mega Road in Clatskanie. As an individual, I'm not speaking for the monastery. That's just under a mile from the proposed facility. I attended a community meeting about this project at the Food Hub last month, and since then I've been looking into the draft EIS more closely, and I found some things that concern me. First, I want to be clear. I am not here to argue for or against this project. I'm here because an EIS needs to be correct and complete. And in reviewing this one, I found some things that I believe are not. The air quality data. The background air quality data used in the cumulative analysis from the CIS comes from a single monitoring station in the Portland area, about 50 miles away. There is no local air monitoring data for Port Westward. The EIS itself acknowledges this. As a neighbor, I think it's reasonable to ask, before we approve a major industrial facility, shouldn't we know what the current air quality actually is where people live? Related to that, the air dispersion modeling, the analysis that predicts where emissions will go and at what concentrations, uses a single year of meteorological data from 1993 to 1994. Now, for me, that's yesterday, but actually it's over 30 years old. EPA guidance recommends a minimum of 5 years of recent data. The entire air quality analysis rests on weather patterns from 3 decades ago. Second, the wetland mitigation. This project would permanently fill about 104 acres of wetlands. To compensate, the applicant proposes to enhance the site about a half-mile south. But the applicant's own wetland delineation report shows that that site is already approximately 95% jurisdictional wetland. The plan is to remove some trees and replant with native species on land that is already functioning wetland. That's improving an existing wetland, not replacing one that's being destroyed. And those are different things under the Corps' own mitigation regulations. Third, in late 2025, the company announced it's switching from the hydrogen production system analyzed in the EIS to a completely different technology. The hydrogen plant was the single largest source of nitrogen oxide and carbon monoxide in the entire facility. The EIS models air emissions from equipment the company is no longer planning to use. Finally, on a personal note, the air quality study in this EIS extends 1,500 meters from the facility boundary. I live at approximately 1,600 meters. I'm just outside the line. The monastery where I live is part of the scoping process, but it doesn't appear anywhere in the analysis. I'd simply like it to be included. I'll submit detailed written comments addressing these and other concerns. I just ask that the Corps take a careful look at the accuracy and completeness of the data in this document. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comment. We're going to go to another person on the phone. We're going to go to phone number ending in 6924. 6924. Your microphone has been enabled. Please press.
Should be another thing. Take your hand down.
If your phone number ends in 6924, please dial *6 to unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Great, thank you. My name is Dan Sears. I'm the Advocacy Director for Columbia Riverkeeper. I'm borrowing words from a friend who says, an estuary is the rare confluence of river and ocean. It is the nursery and precise habitat and safe haven for countless species. It is where fertile soil allows farmers to grow abundant crops for local use and trade. It is prime land to sustain humans, animals, fish, and wildlife. All of that would be made less viable, less life-sustaining, more degraded and in jeopardy of disaster because this is a potential floodway. Now, not a floodplain by virtue of the levees being prone to overtopping. That overtopping issue is one that the Corps knows well. I think we should be focusing on reducing the harm of fuel systems and cleaner burning fuel is critical for frontline communities. But we must do this while understanding the infrastructure that currently exists. The DEIS should focus more on issues at the waterline. Consider how much tire wear pollutant will enter the estuary because of the project. 6-ppd quinone is an emerging contaminant found in surface runoff, water, air, and dust, posing neurotoxic risks and threatening aquatic ecosystems. This issue is understated in the DEIS, although we appreciate that the Corps has characterized the impact on wetlands and cultural resources. Thank you, Scott McGregor, for speaking to this as major. The amount of truck traffic required to move the gargantuan amount of fill that next proposes to dump into the dike lands will cause pollution that will harm local aquatic life. This is certain. Page 8 of the post-construction stormwater management plan offers some consideration of the issue, but it's going to be a problem if the project goes forward. We ask you to publish the blast study for the hydrogen plant, if that is still a feature of the refinery. Consider the impact on the community. We need to evacuate on narrow roads should an accident occur at the refinery, rail yard, tank farm, or hydrogen plant. Consider also that the flare stack is taller than the Statue of Liberty, and it would emit flames, particulate matter, and smoke in the vicinity of the Great Vow Zen Buddhist monastery. I am concerned for the lungs of my dear friends at the monastery, and I hope that Haley is able to unmute because she can see the stack. She would be looking at the stack if it got built. Can you imagine breathing those fumes constantly?
Or if you can
day
finish
after
up your
day?
comments, Fred.
Am I out of time?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Please take the no action alternative. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. We're going to go to a Wendy Schmidt. Wendy, your microphone is now enabled. So if you want to hit the microphone button on your end, it will then unmute you. Wendy Schmidt.
Did that work?
That
Oh, it
works. I
did.
can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. My name is Wendy Schmidt. I live about a mile from the proposed next facility, and I border the proposed mitigation along the McLean Slough within the Beaver Drainage District. The plan to build one of the largest SAF renewable diesel refineries within the BDIC, the Beaver Drainage District, is by far the worst idea yet. The next renewables refinery would be built in an estuary on sensitive, unstable wetlands. The high chemical contamination to our air, water, and soil will not allow farmers, including me, who live and work within the BDIC, to produce clean, healthy, and affordable food. The fumes, groundwater pollution, and soil air contamination would destroy our livelihood and leave behind a toxic footprint that would last for generations. The next fuel facility would be built on land that is composed of liquefiable peat soils facing unique seismic and sinking hazards. A chemical leak or failure of storage tanks would immediately contaminate waterways and our land. A high-pressure hydrogen leak would release a fire ring extending beyond the facility, destroying crops and wildlife in the immediate area.
An accidental release of hydrogen or ammonia would cause immediate crop burn, leading to the loss of crops and organic certifications. A chemical plume from the next 350, 400-foot flare stack would emit VOCs containing acrolein, formaldehyde, and acetaldehyde, and hexane. These are all linked to respiratory and blood cancers, neuropathy, and heart attacks. These airborne particles would enter a closed drainage system. That means they don't wash away. Instead, they circulate through the sloughs and ditches that support local farmers, crops, and cattle. Safety data for sustainable aviation fuel, renewable diesel, and renewable naphtha are forever aquatic toxic. This means they kill aquatic life, like spawning salmon, forever. They don't break down. The BDIC is water. It is a drainage district comprised of a series of waterways and pumps designed to move throughout the 5,700 acres of farmland, which is then surrounded by a currently uncertified levee that's supposed to protect the farmland from the flooding of the Columbia River. The refinery site would be located within these boundaries and surrounded by prime agricultural land that is actively being farmed. The Beaver Drainage District is home to 400 acres of certified mint, 400 acres of certified blueberries, 300 acres of grain and animal feed, 2,000 acres of haying, grazing for cattle, 200 plus sheep, goats, and over 500 chickens and turkeys. Our local farmers supply our community with produce, meat, eggs, and grain. 80% of the Beaver Drainage District is actively being farmed. The BDIC is composed of ancient layers of some of the most fertile soils in the world. These layers should be treated as a precious treasure to foster the future of our local sustainable farming community, not put on the auction block to be sold to the highest bidder for personal gain with the possibility of destroying our entire ecosystem. Our commissioners and those above should be ashamed of themselves. The Port of Columbia and the Port Commissioners have been trying for the past 60 years to have us all go bankrupt in the pursuit and constant failure of changing the zoning codes of this precious land. The agricultural incompatibility of Port Westward is a geological and legal fact. The site compatibility with heavy industry is not a highest and best use, which is what the refinery is zoned as currently. It is prime agricultural land that is being used actively by a thriving farming community. I urge the Army Corps of Engineers to deny any and all permits regarding the construction and operation of the next renewables facility. This is a high-risk proposal, and it is not worth the price. Thank you.
I'd just like to make a process comment. We're 10 minutes over our allotted time for this meeting. In recognition that we still have multiple speakers in the queue, I think it's in the best interest that we're going to extend the meeting till 3:30 to receive some additional comments. So just as a reminder, if we don't get to your comments today, you're welcome to attend tomorrow's public meeting and attempt to speak. I have not had near as many pre-registrants for tomorrow's meeting as I had for today. And secondly, please remember that you can always submit written comments on the DEIS to the information provided on the slide, either the next email or via mail. And those comments would be considered equally. With that said, let's just continue working through the queue and allow as many people to speak as possible prior to 3:30.
We're going to call on Mr. Robert Camarillo. Your microphone has been enabled. So if you want to go up to the microphone icon on your end and select the button to unmute yourself. Mr. Robert Camarillo. Robert, we don't hear you speaking. So I'll give you a couple more seconds to figure it out. That little microphone button in the corner to unmute yourself. All right, he lowered his hand. I'm going to move to Philip Reisel. Philip Reisel, your microphone has been enabled.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, Philip Rissel and Jonna Forbes. It's PHILLIP. Rissel, RISSEL. We're an active members in the Clatskanie community and own River's Edge RV Resort and Camping, along with other commercial properties within the city of Clatskanie. We would consider our business part of the tourism industry and love the idea of more economic growth in the region. The technical experts in the local and state and federal agencies all seem to be coming to the same conclusion that NEXT meets the high standards of air, water, and land. We don't believe those agencies came to this conclusion lightly either. It has been almost a decade that we've followed this project. It's been scrutinized by agencies, experts, local residents, elected officials, and many others. As we see it, the result is that nearly everyone we talk to about it supports this project. We know there is a small group of local opponents with their concerns, and we respect that. It is not our place to say what others' concerns are and whether or not they're valid, but we've found the developer to be honest, to talk about the potential impacts as much as they talk about the benefits. And they've always been open to suggestions on how to make their project or their corporate presence better here in Clatskanie. The EIS that the Army Corps produced touches on community benefit, and that is what we'd like to speak to. Like many companies in town, we rely on city services, public safety, water treatment, sewer services, and other needs. The county is in a budget crunch no matter how leaders want to rearrange the dollars. The solution is to bring big industry that generates significant tax revenue. It is our understanding NEXT will pay nearly $20 million every year to the county in tax revenue. That will be sustainable, game-changing money for this area. We could hire sheriffs, provide more hours for county health staff, bolster the public libraries, repair our county roads, and do much for our community. The construction cycle also will see 3 years of economic boom. Some look at that is only temporary and insignificant, but we think that is absolutely crazy. For anyone who owns a business, we know that 3 years of thousands of new people with dispensable income is an amazing opportunity. It will have tangible ripple benefits of expanding business services, starting new businesses, updating storefronts, creating new recreational opportunities, and a lot more. And while we know there will be a drop when construction is over, there will still be hundreds of workers making high salaries looking to spend money locally. They can find out what makes Columbia County such a great place to live, work, and play. We need good paying jobs in the local community. I hope the Army Corps will consider the county's current economic position and what this project could mean for us. We want this. That's why thousands of people have submitted comments already, and I'm sure thousands of more will come through your agency by April 20th. We support NEXT and urge you to approve their permit. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. We're going to go to another next person. Catherine Engel. Catherine Engel, your microphone is now enabled.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Catherine Engel, Kathrynengel, and I'm a 40-year resident of Clatskanie, and in the past have been city councilor and a school board member in the community. Since moving here in 1985, I've watched many companies try and site at Port Westward, but they could not meet the stringent environmental protection standards of our state until NEXT. I am proud that Oregon makes it difficult, and it makes me that much more confident in NEXT Renewable Fuels becoming a responsible member of our community. And it is without hesitation that I ask you to approve the permit before you for NEXT Renewable Fuels. The DEIS provides the necessary environmental information on why this project should be sited at Port Westward rather than one of the other options. However, I would like to speak as to why NEXT needs to be sited at Port Westward also for the economic security of the Clatskanie community. The very presence of such a valuable plant will help fill our vacant restaurants, our vacant commercial buildings, allow our county to repair our roads, put deputies on the highways, give our citizens family wage job opportunities without commuting elsewhere, which many currently do. And most important to my heart is to provide our school district such an increase in available funds that we can actually afford the new heating system in the elementary school. We could consider hiring foreign language teachers. We can offer higher levels of math and science, and finally give our rural students what is already being provided in bigger districts, but has been missing in ours. I thank you for your consideration and the opportunity to comment, and also respect the comments of everyone that came before me. And I say once again, I ask you to approve the permit before you for next renewable fuels. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. We're going to go to Nate Stokes. Nate, your microphone is now enabled.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Can hear you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Nate Stokes, Natestokes. I am the Assistant Business Manager of the Operating Engineers Local 701, representing 3,900 members. I am also the President of the Columbia Pacific Building and Construction Trades Council. I am speaking on behalf of 3,900 operating engineers in Oregon and Southwest Washington, and 191 members that live in Columbia County, plus many more in surrounding counties that will get prioritized local hiring. The operators started building projects in 1918 throughout Oregon and Southwest Washington. We are proud of many things, but we are particularly proud of this, is when we are called upon to help build the largest infrastructure projects around. To list a few: Columbia River Dam System, Astoria Bridge, and the cleanup after Mount St. Helens explosion, among many more. We are here to help the state of Oregon build its critical infrastructure. Projects like NEXT help us continue to recruit the next generation of skilled workers, because it gives us the ability to not only train apprentices, but also deploy them for on-the-job experience. They learn that this isn't just temporary work, but it's a pathway to a lifelong career that supports their families and builds up their communities. The operators have inevitable safety record building in Oregon's different environments. Our members know firsthand that it is safe to build at Port Westward, and that we will be preparing the facility foundation to modern seismic standards. Our crews will help reinforce the foundation with engineered fill, and will assist with installing more than 15,000 pilings to stabilize the ground beyond standard requirements. This is not a new process for reinforcing the ground. It happens all over Oregon, and it's a proven method. In fact, there is an earthquake. If there is an earthquake, it is likely that NEXT facility will actually be the safest property in the area, specifically because it meets those most recent seismic and safety standards. Yes, the operators would like to put our members to work, as we did to help build the PGE facility, along with the existing biorefinery facility. But what we want to emphasize today is what is confirmed in the draft EIS at Port Westward is safe industrial area to build in, and can be reinforced to meet federal, state, and local safety standards. Just to reinforce one of the questions, not only could we build on that land, we already have built on that land. Thank you, and please approve this process.
Thank you for your comment. I'm going to go to somebody on the phone now. Phone number ending in 2765. Your microphone has now been enabled. Please dial *6 to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. My name is Brenda Vassa, and I am the owner of Low Tide Farms in a neighboring drainage district downstream from the proposed next renewable facilities at Port Westward. And while my land does not fall within the Beaver Drainage Improvement Company boundaries, I am no less affected by what happens there. Water does not respect property lines or district boundaries. The Columbia River system that feeds and drains our region is entirely interconnected, and what enters that system upstream will eventually reach my fields, ditches, and other water supply. The applicant and the Army Corps of Engineers themselves have acknowledged multiple times within the environmental impact statement that the BDI system is wholly interconnected, and that interconnection does not stop at the BDIC's fence line. It flows straight to the rest of us. One of my concerns is water quality. The EIS acknowledges elevated water temperatures and increased contaminants as known issues. And the proposed mitigation site will introduce slow, shallow, warm water channels that are ideal breeding grounds for bacteria, disease, mosquitoes, and pests. Once those pathogens and pests enter the regional water system, they do not stay contained. As a farmer who shares watershed resources, contaminated water reaching our fields could devastate our farm and the region. The risk of catastrophic flooding is also a shared regional threat. The BDIC levee system, the only barrier standing between the Columbia River and thousands of acres of farmland, is not FEMA accredited and cannot withstand a 100-year flood event. The Army Corps of Engineers' own EIS statement acknowledges that a relatively high likelihood of overtopping, and it states that it is unclear how the levee may perform in the future. When that levee overtops, it will not contain the disaster within the BDIC. A flood of that magnitude will move through the broader floodplain, threatening neighboring districts, farms, roads, and communities downstream. Approving a project that adds heavy industrial traffic, massive ground excavation, and boil-inducing construction to an already compromised levee system is gambling with all of our safety, not just the BDIC's. Finally, I am deeply troubled that agricultural communities like mine, working farms stretching west towards the coast, have effectively been written out of this analysis entirely. The EIS limits its public health and safety considerations to immediately adjoining parcels, as though a river stops carrying contamination at a property line. The agricultural character of the Lower Columbia Corridor is not a footnote in this project. It is the very thing being put at risk. I urge you to deny this project for now and future generations. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for your comment. I'm going to go to next one, Mr. Doug Hull. Mr. Hull, your microphone has been enabled.
Hi, my name is Doug Hull, Doughull, and I am a resident at Great Vow Zen Monastery, located less than 1 mile and in direct line of sight and sound from the proposed refinery at Port Westward. Great is not just where I live. This place and the people who live and practice here are what I have chosen to devote my life to. Between 20 and 30 people reside at the monastery. Every month, 60 to 100 more come from across the country for retreats. In my 5 years here, I have witnessed people truly transforming their lives. We offer something rare, a place where people can recenter, reground, and return to the world with a clearer sense of purpose. There are very few places like this in the country. One of our primary practices is silent meditation. I ask you to imagine trying to meditate in a room that smells of rotten eggs. The next facility would emit hydrogen sulfide and ammonia as its primary odorous compounds. Hydrogen sulfide causes headaches, respiratory irritation, and dizziness. And despite being less than a mile away, our monastery was not even included in the DEIS health risk analysis. During construction, over 15,000 steel pilings, each at least 90 feet long, would be driven into the wetlands with vibrating hammers. After completion, compressors, pumps, flares, cargo ships, and rail traffic on a 6-track rail yard would generate continuous noise around the clock. For a monastery that depends on quiet, this is an existential threat. Light pollution would also have a profound effect. Our clear, dark skies inspire people who travel here from cities where you can't see the stars. The DEIS does not analyze light pollution impacts on nearby residents at all. We could lose our stars for good, and no one has even studied whether that will happen. I am an avid outdoors person, and I have loved exploring the Columbia River since I moved here. The sea lions, otters, beavers, and great blue herons are daily companions. This time of year, the barking of sea lions can be heard all the way at the monastery, and we see them regularly as they regard us curiously on our kayak outings. The sound of those vibrating hammers is even louder underwater, around 120 decibels, similar to the sound of a jet taking off. I feel for every one of those animals. I love this land, this river, and this monastery. There is so much more to this place than money-making potential. I ask the Army Corps of Engineers to deny this permit. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
I'm now showing that it's 3:30, and we will unfortunately have to conclude our meeting for this afternoon. But before we go, I would like to remind everyone in attendance that you could attempt to provide oral comments during tomorrow's meeting, which will be held from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. in the same format as this afternoon. And you may also submit written comments to us via email at nexteis@usace.army.mil. And you may also provide written comments by standard mail at the address U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Portland District, attention James Davidson, Next Project, P.O. Box 2946, Portland, Oregon 97208-2946. Again, we'd like to thank everyone who was able to attend this meeting and look forward to any additional comments you may have. Thank you.